Onimsa wa family went in no wupa bebo me said we Sherry Oro bosha Sherry no wafumo Sherry Oro bosha Sherry no wafuma.
All right, Ebushafo, your mamunina akwaba eba HITV so. Asana Musa Mesa, Asa, Dr. David Ontimesa, a highly professional Asa, just say or say Wutimi, a who Panya Befaso, and market steps no, na etimi a matchy beat no, na asaso as stampy BBR, and no. I'm hoping for a dance competition. While we're ready, we can have a dance off. Now, if you won't see the basic, I don't know. Pay a poncho now, you bet me the sister, now they won't be, I don't know. Actually, but me case should just say Dr. David, what means assassin on the side. I'm a bien one of my obey me asa. And what be Dimitri, you know. Me, friend say, Maketia, Bechem.
No, give the whole thing while you're at it. No, just give the whole thing away. No, just let it go. Just no, don't do mad.
Let me do
let it go.
Best.
Let it go.
Let me do my best.
Let it go.
But me say, obi to prove any video. Dr. David Asa. I get heavy cinema sana. Maketi ya meche buten. Me yiba kwa man.
No, PK, you don't have to. There's no proof that I can dance better than you. There's no proof anywhere under the sun that I can dance better than you. It's not even close.
So that means I should keep my money.
You should, because I can't dance.
Thank you. And that's what I was saying. It's a museum for PK and Chantro. See me before me no baby I cry. Well, on this note, happy Veterans Day to all those who served, serving, and will be serving. The person can say, "Nyankopon koswa increasing elbows." Now, on the say, happy Veterans Day to myself. I think say 15 years is not a joke. Into no, yeah, yebi. Ichiban so air to us. Big shout outs to whoever has intent to serve and also those that are serving right now, especially my very best friend, Sabasa Subwatin, and Nana Hene. Keep making us proud, making this country a freedom, giving us the freedom for us to enjoy. Welcome and welcome and welcome to each and everyone to today's show. Today's show is going to be strictly English because our guest from tonight, is from Cameroon. And she's very familiar with English and French. So, again, I can speak better French than Director David. So, tu parles français, bonsoir, mademoiselle, monsieur, bonne arrivée, tout les show, I can't say French.
Confusion is started.
Confusion is started. That is confusion started. The pressure is pressuring. The pressure is pressuring. The pressure is pressuring. It was forget you make your body account brofo. French in India. You be just as idea. You did your French resource no. I got top body out to and you can carry into the French in India article. But thank you all for coming. Thank you all for making time out of your busy schedule and coming on this show with us live on HITV on the most prolific show ever on Mondays. Time with Touch Up Send. And again, I'm always gonna be your host as usual, PK. So at this point, let me go ahead and introduce Director David for him to give us any good news that we have whilst we proceed into today's show. Big shout outs to my producer directors, Nana Lord, Nakwisi White Dads, and Blacko, and also producers Alaj, A-Class, and Danny. Director, about showing us all.
PK, thank you so much. Good evening. Obia was showing Nation. Thank you so much for making the time. As PK said, yes, he's a much better dancer than I am. Nobody's disputing that fact because I cannot dance. PK, you win. But more importantly, I know it's Monday. The week just started. I would like to personally give a huge shout out to our team, everybody on the Tap Tap Send team, and how we're going. We're almost done with the year, right? We're in November. It just started it just in Rayan, and we started 2023. 2023 is almost done. So thank you all of it. Thanks everybody who's actually been supportive throughout the quest to get this thing going. Today, I'm more excited about the guests that we have because we are talking about subject matter around immigration, which either individually, Yanka said, we've gone through or we know loved ones have actually experienced it. So PK was kind enough to find us an immigration attorney to come and speak to us. Just answering general inquiry. But if you want to go deep into details, you can take the information and reach out to them. So, PK, again, thank you. As far as an update from TapTapSend, the rate is still aggressive. I know it was 11.75 as of yesterday. Today is 11.77, and we're going to continue to drive better rates throughout the entire year. Now, we granted, but we're doing our best to make sure we give you the best return as possible. Update is still Tap Brunya. Actually, we're giving away $50 every week to some 5 lucky people every week from now till December 28th. We plan on giving out plane tickets in December 28th. We plan on giving out flash screen TVs. I'm sure you've seen the banners all around. So we're excited. Again, thanks for coming. Thanks for having you guys on board. And I'll give it right back to PK to get our show started. I don't want to talk too much. PK, thank you.
All right, thank you. Guys, I was sharing the video to everybody. Please take this opportunity to also share it to your friends, your loved ones, and everyone that you have in your corner. This show, or tonight's show, is going to be crazy. We have BOGO. So those of you who don't know what BOGO is, buy one, get one free. So we request about lawyer Excel, and she's coming with her friend. Female lawyer, to also help support. And they'll be giving out information for consultation. Please, not free calls like, oh, lawyer, I have this quick question. Please, go ahead and call them, book an appointment for a consultation so that you guys can have a good talks and see how best they can help answer all your questions and your concerns. But before much ado, let's go ahead and proceed into the reason why we're here today. Big shout outs to all our sponsors, and let me start off with Feel Good Services. In terms of you looking for mental health educational speaker or maybe mental health education, please look no further about Feel Good Services, and you can reach them at feelgoodservice@gmail.com, and make sure you contact them in order to have all the mental health conversation that you can have, whether it be at the church, a conference, a school, or whatever setting or gatherings that you might find yourself. Also, Feel Good Homes, again, by the same company, Feel Good Homes, thought about the well-being of people. So they came up with a great opportunity for you to actually reach out to them in terms of looking for, somewhere to buy homes, like legitimate lands and also condos and apartments. They are located at Pokwase, East Legon Hills. So these two locations are one of their biggest strongholds, and they have so many rooms for you to actually rent, Airbnb, buy, or even customize your building. So please make sure you call them at +513 372-5758, or the Ghana number +233 208 149 540. And Feel Good Homes, real estate investment in Ghana, and that is where you can find most of your stuff happening. Also, let me go ahead and introduce Happy Glow GH to you. Happy Glow GH gives you the best of cosmetics, skincare,
in terms of your eyebrow, okay? If you all have those bushy eyebrows like mine, please go get it trimmed over there. I'm getting mine done when I go to Ghana, so please, eyebrow, eyelash threading, waxing, pedicure, manicure, and also acrylic nails designs for, those of you who likes to make your nails, look good. Happy Glow says that where your beauty is pronounced, and they are located at Ashoman Estate, 20 meters away from the hospital and right opposite Veggies and Grow. And their number is on the screen. For the purpose of those actually listening, let me go ahead and spit the number out to you guys. It's +233 594 710 391. Happy Glow GH, beauty pronounced. Again, let me talk to you about Oswald Wellness Clinic. Oswald Wellness Clinic provides the best of services to people in the DMV area, especially Maryland and also Ohio. If you're looking for a family nurse practitioner, IV hydration, primary care, or weight management, which they really dive deep into that, please call them on 513-268-2740 for all your best of wellness attention, so that you can have the best of feeling when it comes to taking care of your body and yourself. You know what the saying goes, right? If you take care of your body will take care of you. So please make sure you do that. Reach out to them for the best of wellness attention. Then let me talk to you about looking good and feeling good. Your confidence level is established when you have an astute and also profound fabric on your body. And I'm talking about the best of fabric on the market, as well as the best of suits that can suit your occasion. So people will address you based on the way you dressed. And because of that, I encourage each and one of you to actually turn to Blanding Bespoke when it comes to your best suit for all your events and occasions, even including funerals. I think the only thing they do not provide suit for is divorce parties. But with that being said, please contact them on WhatsApp, +233 5000 915 389 or +233 555 927 378. Or you can contact me on Instagram at Blanding_Bespoke. All right, now the biggest of all, Opemu Dankasa, the eldest of all. The reason why we're here tonight, TapTapSend, the fastest, secured, and most reliable way to send money back home. Please grab your phones, and also, in case you already did it, reach out to your family members, reach out to your loved ones. Do not be selfish. Go to the Apple Store, Google Play Store, and download the app. You know the colors is the red, the white, the green, and the bird. Download the app. It's free to download the app. No fee to download the app. But once you send money, there is no fee attached. And also on your first transaction, if you do put in the promo code HRE, you do get $15 on your first transaction. Please do not make mistakes and send money without putting the promo code, because once you've missed out, that's it. TapTapSend, the rate is pounding, just like your heartbeat after a 3-mile run. 1177, just like director said. So please take advantage of this before the dollar drops. Christmas is around the corner. Family members are waiting on you for these awesome festivities. At this point, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Then we're going to come back and start tonight's show. Please take this opportunity to invite your friends and family. Thank you.
I was at one, your friend Carla Boss, the only boss with what is. Do you know about TapTapSend? TapTapSend is one of the easiest, convenient, reliable money transfer app you can get. You can download TapTapSend on Google Play Store or App Store. We download it and then you register. Register and you are good to go to send money across every place, many countries in the world. TapTapSend. Why wouldn't that happen?
All right, let's take this opportunity to say big shout out to Calibos. Calibos, you just watch his video. Calibos just got married on Saturday, so he is off the market. So right now he's Mr. Richard Kweku Asante, aka Calibos, the only boss with one S, and he's being a prolific and a phenomenal ambassador for TapTapSend. So on behalf of TapTapSend, big shout out to Calibos for such a beautiful occasion that just took place in Kumasi, Ghana. All right, so let's take this opportunity to actually invite our lawyer, Lawyer Excel. Lawyer, if you're here, please turn your video and your mic on so that we can go ahead and just get a quick introduction through. Lawyer, can you hear me? Lawyer Excel, can you hear me? All right, I think she's trying to still get on, because I saw her come on and just leave. She's on mute. Like, if you can unmute yourself. I think Lawyer is on mute. I know Lawyer was going to be here with her other friend, Lawyer, who was also going to be speaking with us. Lawyer, if you can hear us, can you please unmute yourself, turn your camera on? And a producer, quick video share my, then we're just going to come back again to her.
Yankutuna nasio nyameno no. Yanana sia wa maya tamfuate shoko. Hey, tiawa ene die no no no. Wayama na yamenwanwa. Hey, why am I not Timoy? At some 40 shoko. Ghana for meeting the unbreakable joy is blessing. Oh, share HRETV. Koswana she. Now be in shira unbreakable. Keep it locked.
Check the statistics. What from beaucoup d'État on my big six. We remove all the girls, logistics. You want here top speed, Olympics. Yo, what up, people? It's your boy Natalie, and I'm watching HRETV, man. Keep it locked. Badman operator.
Hello guys, it's your girl Pamela Odame Watara, and I just want to recommend HRETV for you guys for all your latest interviews. Just stay tuned at HRETV. I love you all guys.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching me live on HRE TV. HR, His Royal.
Lawyer, can you hear us?
I can hear you all perfectly.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. We can hear you now. That's awesome. If you don't mind turning your video on for us. I think your video is also off. Please.
So I would have loved to turn on my video, but there is some technical glitch on my end. If I do, it kind of interrupts with the sound. So if it's okay, can we proceed like this?
That's fine. Okay, we're gonna work around it. All right. So at this point, we'd like to welcome you for coming on the show, and also thank you so much for taking the mandate and also the time out of your busy schedule to actually be with us tonight. I know you on the rounds, traveling and all that stuff, but you really make some good time to come talk with us. So I would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, like within a minute or two, who you are, like your firm, and also introduce your friend to our viewers and listeners as well. Then we can go ahead and just start tonight's show.
All right, thank you, PK, and hi to everyone who is on here. My friend Sandra will not be joining, so it's just going to be me. For intro purposes, my name is Extel Mbaacha Dobgima. I am an attorney. I have been an attorney for close to 12 years now. Licensed in New York, in Washington, D.C., the Federal District of Texas, and in Cameroon as well. So I do counsel in the areas of immigration to an extent, mainly mediation, which is a greater part of my practice for those who are looking to settle out of court and need a mediator. I also provide the service. And working in the immigrant community, that's my community, originally from Cameroon. So that's where, my heart is at, and serving my community is at the core of what I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that is a great. I think we're getting some feedback. I think that is some great introduction that we can all get from you when it comes to who you are, and you have just cemented the grounds when it comes to what we're about to talk about today: your strongholds, mediation, and also settlement out of court, and all the good stuff that you do for the country and the people. Immigrants that are in the country at the moment. So let's talk about tonight's show. First of all, again, welcome to the show. Welcome. Let's talk about tonight's show. And since today is your first day on the show, let me give a little bit of breakdown of how we run things over here. So we do discuss the topic. Then after that, we open up the floor for 10-15 minutes for our viewers to ask some questions. Then after that, then we'll just say thank you to you. Then we continue with the Tatapsen aspect of it. So, and we know Tatapsen is in Cameroon. So this is something that this is not something that you're new to. You probably heard about us before. And tonight the show is Time with Tatapsen. All we do is just make sure we come up with educative stuff to help those of us in the diaspora, as well as those that are back home and trying to get over here to see how things runs in this country. So let's talk about the topic, okay? To this topic, It's mainly going to be about adjustment when it comes to adjustment of status, immigration status. So, first of all, let's look at why the need to adjust your status. Is it working for you now? Because we don't want to lose you. Is it okay? Oh yeah. When
I'm trying to see, but it looks like it's gonna be problematic. So let's just
yes,
let's
let's
to
keep
do
it
it
this
with the
way.
audio.
Yeah, let's keep it this
Yes.
way because I think when you turn the video on, I couldn't hear you when you were speaking. So let's talk about adjusting your status in the first place. Why should one adjust the status? Then after that, you can segue into what are the different types of statuses and the need for us to adjust them.
Yeah, so adjusting your status, I normally say, is the first step because it gives you the legal right to stay in the United States and not having to look over your shoulder about, who is following you or whether or not you're going to get into trouble. It's problematic if you want to build and you're not sure that you will remain to enjoy what you build. And that is the simplest form as to how I can explain the need for making sure that you have the right status. Now, when we say adjusting your status, this is for people who come in as a non-immigrant, right? If you are a non-immigrant, there are only certain things that you can do with your non-immigrant visa. If you're a student, that's a non-immigrant visa. If you're a visitor, that's a non-immigrant visa. If you've come in an entertainment category, that's still not non-immigrant. Now, if you're thinking about staying long term in the country, either because you want to, settle, you want to go to school and not have to pay international student fees, you want to start a business, you want to, build life, then that's when we start to talk about it. And it's so important because you only start to work towards your American dream once you have settled the questions of your legal status in America. There are a lot of limitations that people will face, and I'm sure your guest, your audience, are aware of them. And there are quite some options. There's not all the options will not apply to everybody, but it's left for you in your own unique situation to figure out what will be the best option for you if adjustment of status is something that you're thinking about.
Beautiful. Such a beautiful answer. So, what are some of the statuses that we might have? Because I know you did talk about if you're a student, but do we have just more than being a student, and also can visitors, those in Ghana, like, when they come out to visit, can they just adjust the status? And again, is it the proper way to do it? Also, can people that have, what is the name of the visa that is given to those that just come here to work with just the work authorization? I forgot the name of is it F1?
No, the F1 is a student visa.
So F1 is a student visa.
When
Okay.
it comes to, yes. So, okay, let me try to answer this question in a way that gives, information. Hardly. It's very, very rare for a person to go to the embassy and pick up a work authorization visa and come to the US for the sole purpose of working. It used to exist. It no longer does, and it's extremely hard. So let me dispel first and foremost, the myth that you could just apply for a job from Ghana, from Cameroon, from Nigeria, and get the job and then go get a visa and come and work. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Not so likely, because employers in the US are required to show compelling reason why they need to hire a foreigner over hiring an American to do the job. They have to show that, that foreigner has a skill set that an ordinary American cannot meet. And when I say show, it means that they have to post the position for a period of time and have people apply, and then petition the Labor Department about the special skills of this foreigner before it's approved, and then before it goes to the embassy level. And with the current market situation, companies are not that motivated to go that route. So it's really not likely. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Like I said, not so much. But then if you are thinking about coming to the US, there are different options. Those that win the DV lottery, they're not coming in as non-immigrants. When you win the DV lottery, you're coming in as an immigrant, and there is no need to adjust status when you're an immigrant, because you come in, you get a green card, you get a social security number, your life starts from there. You can work anywhere you want, you can open your bank account, you can buy a car, you can even buy a house, whatever you need to do. When you're a non-immigrant, now as a non-immigrant, what does it mean? A non-immigrant's intent is the fact that you don't intend to stay in the US. And so they give you a visa with the intention that you will return to your home country. Now, when you're already in America and you're trying to change that intent to an intent to stay, it means you're changing from the non-immigrant status to an immigrant status. And it's not as easy as ABC, because there are particular pathways that you would have to follow. Number one, if you want to change from a visitor visa to an immigrant visa, to an immigrant, where you can file for your green card, you can get married to a U.S. citizen. This is one of the ways in which you can become a permanent resident. You can change from your non-immigrant status to an immigrant, or immigrant status. Pretty much, you get a green card. If you find love, and let me put it this way categorically, if you find love and your lover is a citizen and your lover is willing to petition for you, on that, guys, you can get your green card, okay? There have been situations where people find love and things go wrong, and they can still adjust their status by filing for VAWA. VAWA is another category. This is like, I wouldn't say a subset, but it can come off of a relationship going wrong where there is abuse, and it's not only for women, even though the acronym
I was about to
VAWA
say
is
that.
Violence Against Women's Act. It's not only for women, actually. If you're a man and you're married to a woman who is physically or emotionally abusing you, verbally abusing you, you can still petition on the VAWA, and that is one of the ways in which you can adjust status. All of these different categories have elements that you need to prove. It's not as easy as I just say it right now. You're going to have to prove, even when you're married and there's no violence, that the marriage was entered for bona fide reasons. And the way in which you prove that it is bona fide is in showing evidence that it is a true and real relationship. You have bills, you have engagements together, you have, joint leases, joint bank accounts, you have pictures together, you have affidavits of friends and family that are telling you, that are writing to immigration and saying that we know these people, they love themselves. You need a document. If you have a document from your pastor or your religious clergy saying that I married these people, I counseled these people, your premarital counseling certificate, all those things are good. Now that's for marriage. If you're going under the guise of VAWA, VAWA really is to prove extreme cruelty, right? You are trying to prove that your American or permanent resident spouse is extremely cruel to you. Just calling you fat and short or big does not meet the mark of extreme cruelty. Whatever you're doing, you have to prove. And so that's an area. Another way in which people are able to adjust their status is if they fear political persecution in the country of their origin. Say, for example, you went to the embassy as a journalist, and this is a hypothetical. You went to the embassy as a journalist and you got a non-immigrant visitor visa, and you came to the United States, but in your home country, you're being sought after for your political opinion or for your membership in a particular social group, or either because of your religion or because of your race. You can apply for political asylum in the United States. Just like any other category, you would have to prove the elements of your story. You're going to have to prove that you have suffered past persecution or you fear future persecution on the account of your membership in a social group or your political opinion or your race and your religion, and that, you know, if you were to be returned back to your country, the likelihood of your death or further persecution is extremely high. When you apply for asylum, you can apply for protection under the Convention of Torture if your claim is that you've been tortured in your home country and that if they send you back, you will continue to be tortured. Under the same guise, you can also apply for withholding of removal. Withholding of removal simply just allows for the courts not to remove you. So it's a lesser standard than asylum. The problem with withholding of removal is you are not going to be removed. However, you cannot travel out of the US. You would have forfeited your privilege of not being removed. Now, that's not the only way in which you can adjust status, okay? If we're thinking about it from an employment standpoint, there is a number of options, starting from the first one, which you can prove if you want to show that you have a skill set or that you have a portfolio that will be of a national interest to the United States for you to stay in the US. In this case, you don't need an employer to petition for you. You are the ish. You're saying to immigration, to USCIS, I have what America needs. And so for this reason, give me a green card. It's a very, very high standard to prove because you have to show through your accolades that you have an advanced degree and that you are recognized on an international stage. You have awards, you have publications. You're not just saying, look, I'm the biggest and the baddest to my family alone. Hey, your family knows that you are and your friends, but USCIS wants to see that you are actually acclaimed and you are branded as an expert. So I normally tell people that want to go this route that having your PhD is not enough. You know, there is this, notion among the immigrant community that if you are a PhD student or a graduate from a PhD school, that's enough for you to apply for the EB1. That's the category name for an EB1 visa. But no, not necessarily, because having a PhD is good, but you need to be well branded. Go for conferences, offer to speak at conferences, write papers, make sure that you are published in the area of your work, because that is how you will prove that, the work that you're doing, America needs it. USCIS is able to quantify that through the awards that you receive and the publications that you do. There's a lot of favor that goes into those in the STEM, in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics field. And it's a lot harder if you're not in that field to prove that, you have a skill set or experience that is much needed. So the EB1 is one category. There is the EB2, the EB3 as well. However, the difference with the EB2 and the EB3 is you are going to need an employer to file for you. Remember, I spoke about the fact that the employer has to prove that you have a skill set that an ordinary American does not have. And it's a whole process there. Doctors usually will fit into this category. And this is a tip for anybody who is in medical school. If you're in medical school and say you studied on the island, you came, you took step 1, step 2, and you passed, and you're trying to match, it's not very attractive to go to like a city that is well populated. So find one of those villages in America, a place that if I call the name, you would not even know that there's a place like London, Kentucky. You can find a little city like that and interview for your match residency, because those small cities need doctors, and there is a high probability that those hospitals in those rural areas will be able to file for your green card. Okay, so a lot of times, people in the medical field don't know that. I just gave you a tip you can share with your friends and family who are in med school and are looking for a way to adjust status through that route. Another way in which you can adjust status is called the EB5. And I'm just really speaking high level on all the different options for the interest of time. And, just because we cannot go into too much detail on every single one of those, we will sleep here. So the EB-5 is called the investor's visa. America is looking for investors in certain areas to revive the economy in certain areas. You are required to invest a certain amount. There are some centers that would accept 500,000, I believe, to 800,000 US dollars or $1 million US dollars at the minimum to invest in particular projects that the investor centers have designated. So don't take your hard-earned money and go to just about anywhere and buy a company and buy a Walmart or buy something, buy a franchise, and then come out and say, oh yeah, look, I put in $1 million. I should be entitled to a green card. Does not work like that. You have to go through a regional center is what they call them, and they would point you to the investments that have been singled out by USCIS as investment worthy investments. Once you have invested an amount, there are documents that are required to be submitted, and it's a whole entire process for you to get an EB-5. Now an EB-5, EB-3, EB-2, EB-1, all those other options that I spoke before, those are all alternatives that a non-immigrant can adjust their status into an immigrant in the U.S.
Wow. I said I wanted different types of statuses, but you really gave me very in depth of different types of statuses. Now, I've heard this before, the EB-5, right? Well, like, some rich folks in Ghana will say, oh, I'm just gonna come to your country and just pump this amount of money in order to get some green card. Like when people come with like $700,000 just to even buy a house, and they think through that they'll be. But usually when I hear stuff like that, I thought it was just all talk, and it was just rich people just having a rich people conversation. So I didn't know those actually fall under anything called EB-5. And wow, just hearing this makes everything different. Whilst you were talking about the religion and race, I didn't hear you talk about sexual orientation. Do people also get to change the status due to the sexual orientation and not be, maybe if in case it's not popular at the country they're coming from?
So it does not. Well, thank you for that question. The question is not whether or not it's popular. The question is whether they have suffered past persecution, or there is a likelihood that they will suffer future persecution as a result of their sexual orientation. So yes, sexual orientation is part of the criteria for you to apply for political asylum. Let me say asylum, not political, for asylum, as well as withholding of removal or the Convention Against Torture. However, you need to prove that because of your sexual orientation, you have suffered from past persecution. The tricky thing about this is this: you could be in a community where they don't necessarily accept people who are gay, or people who are bisexual, or people who are homosexual, or any of the alphabets. They don't readily accept that kind of life. But if the government itself is not against those kinds of people, it would be very tough to prove, because the next question will be, yes, your community, the immediate community, did not accept it. Did you report the violence? Did you report the discrimination to your government? You need to be able to prove that the government itself is against you because of your sexual orientation, or the government itself has refused to give you the protection that they need to give you because of your sexual orientation. So there are countries that the law in that country punishes people of different than heterosexual. They punish homosexuals for being homosexual. In that case, it is clear that the government, because of the law, is against people of a particular sexual orientation. In that event, you can file for asylum and prove, through the law and your particular, circumstances that, you faced or will have a likelihood of facing future persecution.
All right. Beautiful. So let's, dive deep into the, now that we know the different types of statuses that can be adjusted, let's dive deep into the nitty-gritties. Like, what are the requirements for one to adjust the status? So you can take maybe the 2 or 3 most popular statuses that usually you see a lot of people adjusting, which one of them I could say could be the regular getting married, status from non-immigrant to immigrant, and also we probably can look into the vow a little bit. Then maybe one of the academia one, the one with medical doctors or maybe pharmacists or people of high academic status who are trying to change not the EB1 per se, but the EB2 and EB3. Maybe we can look. So let's look into the VAWA, then maybe the non-immigrant, the marriage ones. Then we can look into the other one. Then we can proceed from there.
All right, so before I lose my train of thought, since we just talked about this not too long ago, for people who want to buy houses in America and they're not currently in America, let's just say you're in Nigeria, you're in Cameroon or in Ghana, any part of Africa, and you want to buy a house in America, it's possible. That's one of the things that my firm helps people do. And you may not necessarily be doing it because you want to migrate, but for investment reasons. You don't have a social security number because a social security number is given only for particular purposes, mainly to be able to pay taxes in the United States. But if you are trying to buy a house and you're not a resident, there is the option to obtain what they call an ITIN. An ITIN is an identification number it's like a social security number, but it is for people who are non-residents, so they're able to pay taxes on the engagements or the deals that they're getting into. My firm is able to help you obtain your ITIN. We're able to also find a mortgage company that can, give a mortgage to you. You have to remember that a lot of the times banks are very, weary of individuals who don't have anything to lose when they take a loan and they can just disappear because they either don't have any credit history in the US and their credit involvements are not reported to the credit bureau, and so they can just up and leave. But there are certain mortgage companies that will allow for you to get a mortgage for them if you can show that you're putting in a certain amount of equity in the purchase of the home. Say the home is $100,000. This is a hypothetical, and you're ready to put in $50,000 as your investment. That mortgage company that my firm does business with looks at it and says, well, this is enough equity into the deal. We're not afraid that they will up and leave because they've put X amount of money. The mortgage company definitely would want to lean on the home so that in any event, if something happens, they can reclaim their money by, ownership of the home. So, a lot of times there are people who have, money sitting in their bank accounts in Africa, and they are looking to, either get into short-term rentals, buy a home and put it on Airbnb, and they're just not sure how to go about it. I just wanted to clear that up and say, yes, your 100,000 or 150,000 or 250,000 will not get you a green card. However, you'll be able to invest. And my firm can help you get your ITIN, link you up with a mortgage company, close the house on your behalf, and then turn around and put that house back as a real estate investment property that can generate income for you. And if anybody wants more information on that, you can reach out and we'll talk more about that. Now, to answer your specific question, PK, on going into some detail, because we cannot exhaust every single detail because, as you would know, everyone's situation is different.
Exactly.
I will start off with the marriage option. If you are looking to adjust status based on your marriage to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, I want you to understand that depending on the time in which you marry, the burden of proof could be very well on you. Now, the burden of proof is always on you. Let me take that back. But the presumption that you entered a bona fide marriage changes depending on when you marry. Let me give some clarity there. Say you are a non-immigrant visa, you came into you're a non-immigrant
Status.
person, you have a non-immigrant visa, and you come into the US, and you overstay your status, for example, and you're put into deportation proceedings. You were caught on a traffic stop, and they asked you for your paperwork and you could not produce anything, and then they issued you a notice to appear in court, and now you are in deportation proceedings. You have to appear before an immigrant judge. If you marry after a notice to appear has been served on you, the presumption is that you marry to evade immigration laws. I want you to understand that that is a very, very serious presumption, because you're going to have to prove above and beyond that your marriage is bona fide, meaning that a person who is not in front of an immigration judge may not have to prove nearly as much as you have to do. And most of the time, when you're already in front of an immigration judge, the application for your green card will be heard in court. If your case is not terminated, if it's heard in court, it's like a full-blown trial where you're going to be cross-examined by the government attorney. Your spouse is going to be cross-examined by the government attorney. They have the discretion to separate the both of you and ask you identical questions. And if there's any disparity in what the both of you say, it could mean that there is lack of credibility, and that can affect your case. I wanted to spell that out. Now, if you are marrying when you're not in deportation proceedings, even though the presumption is not that you are trying to evade immigration laws, the burden of proof is on you. That is your love, your lover, for example, your husband, your wife. But just because it's your husband and wife, don't submit documentations and just think that immigration will just know that this is your husband and wife. I recommend to my clients that, every single case is treated with utmost diligence and, with thoroughness, as though, it's the worst case scenario. So the first thing first is, depending on the state that you're in, you have to obtain a marriage license. In Texas, you show up with your ID card that has your government issued ID card. If you don't have a government issued ID card, your birth certificate will do. And go to, the court county house and obtain a marriage license, which is good for, I believe, 90 days. And you can go into the courthouse and marry. You can get a justice of the peace. You can get a religious official. You can marry in a garden. You can marry in your house. You can marry anywhere. It does not matter. But I recommend that wherever you are doing your ceremony, you want to take pictures of that, because, again, on a normal day, when two people are getting married, the likelihood that they'll take pictures is the normal thing to do. So if you're not taking pictures, the question is always going to be, is this for real? You want to make sure that you leave no stone unturned. You want to make sure that you don't plant any seeds of doubt in the immigration officer that will be looking at your case. Now, after you marry, the next thing to do is to make sure that you are putting yourself on your spouse's account, or vice versa. So if your spouse already has an apartment and you didn't have one because you did not have a social security number, make sure that you are added to your spouse's apartment, so that when they look at the lease showing both names. Go a step further and make sure you are added to the internet bills, the water bill, electricity bill, internet bill. All the bills in the home should reflect both of y'all's names. Go a step further if you are working, if your spouse is working, or after you start working, because from when you marry and you first apply, give it about 4 or 5 months, you will get a work permit and you will get a social security number. And in that case, you can get a job. You can add your spouse, and both of you, I recommend you do it both ways. You can add each other to your benefits at work. You can add each other to your life insurance policy. You can add each other to your insurance, your car insurance, because all that paperwork is necessary to show that, the marriage is bona fide. Mind you, this proof is subjective. There is no objective way of proving that a marriage is bona fide. So you are putting as much subjective evidence as you can that the marriage is bona fide. And then pictures. You have to remember that on certain crucial days like birthdays and anniversaries, that you take pictures, and if you're exchanging birthday cards. And even if you don't normally do those things, I still recommend that you do it because, mind you, we are proving a subjective case. And there are not as many ways that you can prove a person's intention than showing the action in the marriage that it is actually a bona fide marriage. If you take trips together, keep your airfare tickets to show that you were both going on different trips together, and then having affidavits from your friends and family. Now, a lot of people say, well, Excel, we just got married and we don't have all of this documentation. Should we wait until we have all of this before we file? I don't recommend that you wait. I want you to go ahead and put in your application as soon as you can. As soon as you have the marriage license and you have a couple pictures and you fill out your I-130 and your I-485 and all the forms, the I-131, the I-765, you can go ahead and send in your application. Now, when you get your work permit and as you're accumulating other documents, make sure that you update your file. You would still send to USCIS and also keep a copy for yourself that you will present when you are called for an interview. A lot of times now, because USCIS is so backlogged with a lot of cases, when a person's case is very thorough, they call them for an interview. I've seen it happen a number of times. So that's an encouragement that, don't be sketchy in your improving your case. If you need to file immediately, go ahead and do so, but make sure that you supplement with all the bills that I just highlighted before. Now, for those that have to go for an interview, I do encourage that you prepare for your interview because, as I even married with, a spouse for 10, 15, 20 years, there will still be times when they would ask questions like, so who sleeps on the left side of the bed? And you guys fumble with the answers. So it does happen. Don't take for granted the fact that you have known this person or your spouse for a long time that you don't prepare. No, get ready for the interview. Prepare for the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario being they could separate you at the interview. They can keep you in the room and put your husband out or your wife, vice versa, and ask questions. And so you want to align because the way the USCIS officer is able to determine if it's bona fide or not is if they see that your answers are the same, or if they see that the answers are different, then it begins to, mark question marks. Sometimes when the answers are really, really different, USCIS has the authority to do a home inspection. It's not as common these days like it was before, but there were people that received, visits from USCIS to come and inspect that they were actually living in the same house. So, in order to avoid any further questioning, it's good that you prepare and also go with a lawyer because there are things that will not happen at your interview when you have a lawyer sitting there with you. All right. So after the interview, they would either tell you right there and then that your green card has been approved and you will get it in a couple of weeks in the mail, or they'll tell you, well, we're going to reach out back to you in a couple of days because we need to do further investigation. Either way, when they say that you can only reach out to them in 120 days, on the 120th day, if you haven't heard anything from USCIS, that is the time for you to pick up your phone and call them and, stay on top of your case. A lot of immigrants make this mistake, and I want to encourage you that's listening to me, do not make this mistake. Once they get their work permit, they throw their case to the curb because they're working and they're making money, and things go wrong many times. Hey, mommy. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that was lawyer Excel giving us the breakdown, the nitty-gritties when it comes to adjusting your status through the marriage, ways. And she just made a good point. Even though you sleep with your spouse on the same bed, make sure you know